Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Malva Gasowski from Coaching Mother and All. I am the host of the summit that is taking place soon because the first session is going live tomorrow, March 13th and 14th, and it's called Teaching Communication to Your Kids. I love communication. I teach communication to kids as well as adults in the corporate setting as well. So you as parents and caregivers, if you can start teaching communication to children at a younger age, then in the future, I'll be out of a job in the corporate setting, which this is what I want. So let's start looking at the experts that are here with us. Renee, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your talk in the summit?
Sure, absolutely. I am Renee Lowry. Thank you, Malva, for having me today. I am the mother of two. I specialize in developing relationships and all of the tiny small aspects of what that means, the navigating emotions and the thoughts in your own mind and how you kind of put all of that together in a healthy way. And a lot of parenting is navigating not only those things for yourself, but for your children also. And so why I think it's important to teach children communication is exactly that. You have had 40 years of experience in learning how to navigate these things. And even if you do it in an unhealthy way, you have a practiced way of doing it. And your children don't. So when you get frustrated with their behaviors and things, you have to teach them what behaviors they should have instead. So this for me is this is right in my wheelhouse. I love talking about this stuff. And I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed putting it together.
Yeah, thank you so very, very much. Dr. Mary Wilde, can I ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and about your talk here in the summit?
Sure. I'm Dr. Mary Wilde. I'm an integrative pediatrician from Southern Utah, USA, and I teach families mind-body strategies to deal with behavioral issues. And I really have a passion for supporting parents because I know that one way to help kids with their emotional and behavioral struggles is to help the parents. And really, you are the frontline caregivers, and you're the ones who model for your children all these ways of being and interacting socially, and it all starts at home. And so I'm just so excited to be part of this summit and to participate in an international perspective and all come together as experts. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so very much, Mary. It's awesome to have you here. Linda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your talk here in the summit?
Yes, I'm Linda Hayes Cooper, and I have a background in midwifery and also clinical psychology, and I'm a parent-infant coach. What I absolutely adore working with early parents and their infants, and especially from pregnancy onwards, is seeing the happiness that comes and the joy that comes from a better connection between parents and also between parents and their infants. So I mainly specialize in attachment relationships and hypnotherapy, NLP, that helps parents work through their past life experiences or even experiences throughout their own life and their parenting that interferes somehow in our everyday experiences today. So just helping them connect with that, have some sort of movement and resolve so that they can start attuning to their infants right from conception. It is so important right from the very beginning. So happy to have you all here. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you, Linda. I love what you said, that sometimes we don't even realize the baggage that we carry. I don't know about you guys, but the moment I became a mom, almost 13 years ago, I realized that sometimes, especially when I have emotions, things come out of my mouth that are not my own words, that were just conditioned from the past or the people that I have known that surrounded me. I'm like, hey, that's not how I want to parent. So I love what you just said, that we need to consciously work on it. Thank you very much, Linda. Mary Peterson Cook, can I ask you to introduce yourself, please?
Before I do, what you're just saying, we have a phrase in the US, like, I turned out like my mama. Like, that is exactly that conditioning, is like, we hear it over and over again, and then before we know it, we're doing exactly what our parents did, even if we didn't like it ourselves. So yeah, I feel that. I'm Mary Peterson Cook, and I am the mama of a beautiful, almost 4-year-old miracle baby, and we live this awesome RV life. That's why you've seen my my thing move a little bit. We are currently in Central Florida, enjoying the sunshine and the water, and I'm really excited that I get to do this from anywhere in the world. I was a teacher initially, and now I'm a parenting coach. I really work with parents around 2 to 8 years old, really helping them understand their children's behavior as well as their reaction to their children's behavior, so that we can come up with a plan based on your personal family values and respectful parenting to become more of a team instead of constant power struggles. So we can end this whole my way, the highway, you better do what I say the first time, and you better do it with a good attitude that nobody feels good about.
Right. Thank you so very much. It's lovely to have you. Poonam, can I ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your talk in the summit?
Sure. Thank you so much. And it's such an honor to be on a panel with so many wonderful, wonderful experts. My name is Poonam. I have a business called EduMe. It focuses on bridging the gap between parents and schools, focusing on the parents, ensuring that parents understand that they need to advocate for their children in schools. There are parent rights, and there's a way to approach our schools and our teachers and administrators so that we can form a team. And that way we can also see, we can level up our education system. And that's what my goal is. I have 4 adult children who are all in college, and they are 4.5 years apart. So I stayed home with them after I taught for 10 years, and I wanted to be the parent that I did not have in the classroom. And so I really worked to build those relationships, to foster the environment that all of the students in the school needed. So that's what I now do for my business, and that's what I provide for my clients. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Danielle Batman, can I ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your specialty?
Absolutely. I'm Danielle. I'm living in Omaha, Nebraska in the United States. And I was a early childhood development teacher, Head Start, early Head Start, moved into home visiting, did that for several years for Save the Children prior to becoming a mom myself and realizing I knew nothing. So now my daughters are 8 and 6, and I am a parenting coach with my company Wholeheartedly. And I really work to help families that have a particularly strong-willed child or a hard to parent kiddo better understand how to approach that and strengthen that relationship, and help parents that are parenting together as partners be on the same page by thinking big picture and writing a family business plan to help parents hit pause and zoom out and really think intentionally about how they want to parent and how they can intentionally create the culture of their home. And I also have a podcast called Failing Motherhood, where we are normalizing the feeling of feeling like we're failing and feeling like we're screwing up our kids. And I'm proving to you that you're not the only one by bringing on lots of vulnerable interviews with other experts even that really feel like they've felt that way, if not daily. And so we're just talking about that. And I want to remind every listener that you are the parent that your kids need. And when you really feel good about that, then you can be okay with asking for help when you need it and seeking out the resources that will support you. So I was talking about the 30 million word gap, which is research that came out about the amount of words heard by children before age 3 and how much that impacts them academically to set them up for success. And I just cannot reiterate enough how important and influential the parent-child relationship is, and how much parents are the first teachers and the most important teachers, and they really set the foundation for school success. And it is not drilling numbers and counting and shapes. It is much more based on the positivity of the relationship back and forth and just how much communication happens. So I can't wait for you to be equipped with these resources. And thank you so much for seeking out these resources, because we already know you're an amazing parent if you are signing up for something like this. So kudos to you, and thanks to Malva.
Thank you, Danielle. We have another Danielle Murphy-Ferris. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to the people that are here in the summit?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle, also Danielle Murphy-Ferris. And similar to Danielle, I have a background in working in early childhood. I worked in preschools, kindergartens, aftercares, and learning centers. I was a tutor with kids long before I had my own child. And he's about almost 4 now. And I work as a parent-child coach at a Waldorf school. So I have a training in Waldorf philosophy as well as the RIE approach. And my work really focuses on children under 5 years old. So we do a lot about how infants are touched, how we talk to them, and how our interactions with children pre-verbally, as well as before they're even able to crawl, impact them and set them up for the foundation of their relationships going forward. Again, we also focus on the parent-child relationship, like so many of us here. And I'm looking forward to sharing these concepts with you, as well as hearing from so many wonderful experts in the summit. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Guys, we're in the summit. These are some of the speakers, but because this is an international fair, some couldn't make it because of time differences. However, all of us have shared a lot of resources on the topic that we're discussing this weekend, which is teaching communication to your children. I have heard from the grapevine, of course, that there are parents who think, well, I know how to talk. My kid's gonna learn how to talk. There are words coming out of their mouth. Isn't that enough? So my question to you, Rennie, can you tell me a little bit, is it enough that we're just talking?
It is great that we're talking. Let's start there, okay? Because I see a lot of parents, like on the subway. I live in New York City, so on the subway and things, that are just in their phone and not talking. So in that sense, yes, it's great. However, it's not enough. You're right. We need to be intentional in how we're talking, how we're communicating, because that is how our children are learning. That's how they're learning to interact with themselves, with you. If you want a better relationship with your child, the first part is teaching them how to have that. So it requires a lot of talking. I remember when mine were much younger, there was a time when I was like, I'm just so tired of talking, because you get that way, but it is so essential and so important. And I can't stress that enough. It's amazing. It's a wonderful tool.
Right. Linda, you work with infants. They don't talk, do they?
They do.
Oh.
They talk in many, many ways. Yeah. Some people are very surprised with this information that, infants talk through their bodies, and they have this knowing, the intuitive knowing. And this actually comes right from the very beginning in the womb. Parents can talk to their babies in the womb because communication is energy. And it goes through water. So when we talk to our young infants when they're born, even if we're talking to the baby in the pregnancy about birth, the birth experience, or how the mother is feeling, that is so powerful. We've seen babies actually born smiling because they have a connection and feel safe with their parents. And there's a lot of research out here that actually shows that the postnatal depression is pretty much non-existent when we're bonding with and so connected with our babies in pregnancy and in the early stages after they're born. So it is, I agree, it's such a valuable tool to have. It's essential for us to live a happy life.
Right. Thank you, Linda. Danielle Batman, I have a question for you. You said you work with strong-willed children. Well, strong-willed children, it's my way or the highway. I know because I'm a strong-willed adult now. I was a child, so kudos to my parents who put up with me. My question to you, how can communication help us with children that are strong-willed?
Yeah, I think it's all about this semantics of how we as parents are coming across when we are needing to get them to do any type of direction. And it comes down to the vibe that we're putting off and the tone that we're using and the nonverbal, communication of getting down at their level, and, whether they're perceiving us as a threat, or needing to feel defensive, or needing to continue to reiterate, getting their message across because it's not being received in their mind, so they feel like they need to escalate. It's really, really the key linchpin of our relationship, and we can be nailing it and be, seeing the payoff in their behavior of how well they feel understood, or we can be completely botching it and really making it much more miserable for ourselves and for our kids, and feeling that disconnect and feeling really misunderstood. So I think that if there's any skill parenting wise that you want to jump into right away, it's communication.
Thank you so very, very much. All right, I have a few more questions. Poonam, can you tell me a little bit, because you talk with schools, can you tell me how does that help us with communicating in order for us to build a stronger family?
When we're all on the same team and we all understand each other, where the teachers are coming from, because they're overwhelmed and they're doing their level best to provide individualized, lessons and teaching strategies for each child, there's just not enough time. So when parents come in and they are able to communicate effectively and authentically is my new favorite word. And when we're talking about building relationships, because we can all have these superficial relationships, but in order to move the pendulum forward for our children, it has to be an authentic communication. Parents need to know that their child's teacher is really interested in your child's success, but vice versa as well.
Right.
Teachers need to know that parents care, and it can be done in so many simple ways. It doesn't require a lot of time investment. It just needs to be an investment. So when our children see that, then they too understand that they have that support system, and that they feel comfortable in communicating their challenges with not only the parents, but their teachers as well.
Thank you so very much. Danielle, you work in the school setting. Can you tell us a little bit how important is communication for us to teach our children and the parents and the teachers to have a communication flow?
Yes, yeah, I think kind of like Poonam was saying, it's very important that everyone is on the same page to support the whole child holistically. So when, the parents, pediatricians, the teachers, even extended family know, this is this child's temperament, their personality, and these are the values that we have in our family that we want to bring to this child. It's only going to support that child further in their authentic growth and development and success in the future.
Thank you so very much. You mentioned pediatrics. We have a doctor here with us. Mary, can you tell me a little bit about why do we as doctors need to also encourage parents to learn and teach their children to communicate?
Well, one thing I focus a lot on in the talk that we have, in the conversation we have in the summit, is the idea of listening. And I think that that's one aspect of communication, kind of the other side of the coin, that without the listening, then the communicating is not getting through. And I remember one pivotal book that I read as a parent. It was How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. And I'm sure that most of the panelists are familiar with that classic book, but that is such an important aspect, and we have to hold that space for our kids so they know that we hear them and we see them, and it's just very validating and helps them know that they're valued.
Thank you so very much. And Mary Peterson Cook, you mentioned that you used to work in the school setting. So one tough question for you: when it comes to teaching communication, what do you think parents should know from a teacher's perspective and a parenting coach, when it comes to communicating well to their children to make sure that the school is a support to them and not their obstacle? I can't hear you. There we go.
I know we only have a couple minutes. One thing that they should know when it comes to communicating in the schools, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Honestly, this goes along with what Poonam was saying. Like, you need to be in communication with the teacher yourself, but you also need to teach your children to be their own advocate as well. And that really goes with any relationship. In fact, one of the reasons why my husband and I decided to go this direction in our parenting, because we used to be very much pro punitive punishments thing, all of that. I looked at him one day and I was like, we can't do this. Like, we never learned to communicate properly, and it is affecting our relationship, and I do not want this for my child. Like, if we are struggling as adults and we were in our 30s, like, if we are having this many problems now, then our child I cannot do this to my child. I need to teach him from the get-go how to communicate his needs, whether it's with me, with you, with a grandparent, with a teacher. Like, I need him to learn how to tell me what he's feeling. I need him to be able to resolve conflict. I need him to learn these skills early on, so he is not struggling with so much anxiety and frustration and anger as an adult.
Wow. All right. So everyone listening to this, thank you very much for hearing us out on the importance of teaching communication. I have wonderful ladies with me, more to come inside the summit itself. Thank you very much to all of you for sharing your wisdom in the summit and for emphasizing why teaching communication is so important from the very, very beginning, starting from in utero all the way to when they're adults and they still need to learn how to communicate. So ladies, thank you so very much for being here with me, and I loved having you at the summit.